China O'Brien 2, which you finally watched.
I finally watched. It's a lot better than the first one, I thought.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I have a different opinion to that.
Interesting.
You're the expert, so...
Apparently I'm the expert.
of the three of us.
Yeah.
I thought it was better in many regards, for sure.
It looked a lot crisper. The picture quality was much better, and I'm sure that I've got the latest releases for the first and second one. It was in the second one. It was the flashbacks for me looked like they were filmed on a potato in the second movie, whereas the second movie itself I thought looked pretty good.
It definitely looks a lot better. So I think maybe they reset a few things after the first film.
You know, learned a few things along the way, because both films were filmed back to back.
So I saw an interview with Cynthia Rothrock where she said that they were filming them at the same time, so rather than back to back.
Oh, really? Okay.
So if they were in a location and they had two scenes there, they would do a China O'Brien 1 scene, then a China O'Brien 2 scene, which made it really hard for them to keep track of what they were acting to responding to.
Yeah, I get maybe what you're saying, some technical aspects and stuff like that are better, but it feels like there's less story. It feels like by the end of it, it runs out of steam and it's just like a series of just fight sequences that are not connected. You don't really know what's going on, who's where and what. And it starts to kind of completely derail at that point, you know.
Like Quantum of Solace. But I think those are all fair comments. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's better. I thought it was better.
Nobody's saying that.
It's all right.
Do I have to call in for your arrest?
I listened to a commentary and somebody said the first film feels like a TV pilot and then the second film feels like a normal episode or a below average episode from the series.
Yeah, that could make sense.
It kind of makes me think it would have been a great series.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Because they were supposed to make parts 3 and 4, but fortunately or unfortunately they never got around to it.
They already made Walker Texas Ranger around the same time, so...
It maybe would work better as a 45-minute sort of episode. Here's another story. This happens to fall in China O'Brien's lap, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of the same mistakes and issues with the first film kind of crop up, sidelining our main characters. And I don't know, are the fight sequences any better than the first one? I'm not sure.
There's certainly more of them.
Yeah, I think that some of them were better because I think they went back to reshoot stuff because the film wasn't long enough. They said, all right, we need to get a few more scenes in here, some more fight scenes like the one with Billy Blanks.
Billy Blanks is one of the guys I recognised in it because he's in The Last Boy Scout and I think he did like some sort of like Taibo type boxing thing in the 90s that was quite big.
Hi, I'm Billy Blanks. Welcome to my brand new cardio circuit workout. Are you guys ready to get down today? Are y'all ready? Are you ready?
There's someone else I recognised. One of the goons is one of the lead henchmen in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 2. The claw guy. Should we talk about the plot?
Oh yeah, the plot.
Yeah, there's about maybe 30 minutes of plot maximum.
I think that's quite generous.
Yeah, the first one had more plot.
The first one had too much plot, I think, though.
Yeah, so they learned a lesson.
Learned a lesson from that and not enough, you know. And then it feels like they're just stretching it out. Like you say, if they ran out of film, basically, and it feels like they're using every sort of like inch of like footage that they got, you know, and then they're having to kind of even film some more.
Yeah, because they're just random fights.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah, even the two chefs that come out of the...
That's my favourite. That's my favourite.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favourite parts as well, because like, where did these guys come from? This seems a little bit extreme for kicking over some lettuces. Because they attack him with meat cleavers.
Kill them as well. Even though there's no blood, it's like they're down and out.
Some lettuces.
There's a lot of that in it, I think, you know, or the fight with Dakota in the car park earlier.
Which comes out of nowhere.
It's not even an introduction to him because we've already been introduced to him, which it might have been a good introduction, you know.
I don't want to ride, I just want my keys.
Give her the keys. Absolutely.
So an escaped convict, Baskins.
Baskin, no relation to Carol Baskin, although we have never seen him since, so you never know.
They thought they could keep me locked up.
He is an escaped convict. He shoots his way out of prison, and then he assassinates the judge, the lawyer, and the detective that put him behind bars.
Yeah.
And now he's coming after Frank, who lives in the same town as China O'Brien.
Baskin's boys had a rep even then. Anything you wanted, Baskins would get it for you. Women, booze, drugs.
He's a former colleague who's turned state's evidence against him.
Yeah.
And also stolen $5 million from him. But nobody knows about that.
Nobody knows about the 5 million. Yeah.
And Dakota is dating his daughter, who he picks up from high school.
Yeah, which was very strange. Because they all talk about it. Oh, he's going to pick her up at high school. It's like, is this appropriate?
You want to come in?
Sure.
The assassinations, though, the third assassination...
Let's do it in order, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
The first one with the lawyer, that's all right, you know.
It's pretty straightforward.
Killed the lawyer
Outside.
from a distance.
Clean, efficient.
That's all he needed.
One quick question, please, sir. Sir, come on, give us a break.
Just a car.
Didn't you meet the mayor to discuss it?
The second one is the judge is a magic parlor trick sort of show.
It's a bit elaborate.
There's a lot of moving parts. I mean, how did they get that right?
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like you could have just waited until he came home that night, you know.
He knows that they're going, they're a fan of the magician, they know the structure of the act.
He knows he's going to be up on the stage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of witnesses to that, and that kind of goes on for a bit. But then, as if that wasn't ridiculous enough, then we get hit woman stripper.
Look, miss, I don't know what you're doing, but
The stripper that does a strip show and then pulls out a gun and kills him. It felt a bit odd.
It did. I mean, she looked like she was going to be like a kind of villain or something.
If she'd been the girlfriend that we see later on.
Looks like the pigeon's home to roost for the night.
Is she not?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, she looked different, but I just kind of assumed that was supposed to be her.
Maybe it is supposed to be her, actually. That would make sense.
She came in for that one scene, but she does like a 2-minute striptease just to then shoot him. And then it's like awkward for her to escape after that, isn't it?
She has to put her clothes back on and wander out the building.
And surely somebody would have heard the gunshot.
Yeah, it's not like a silencer or anything, is it? So
It's very odd. Yeah. It's very odd. But then they have to justify the rating somehow.
yeah, it's an 18 certificate, which we kind of were discussing beforehand. Doesn't feel like it at all.
Because there's no nudity in the striptease.
No, violence is pretty mild.
There's some squibs, a little bit of blood.
There's some squibs going on, yeah.
But for an 80s movie, or well, 90s movie, there's not a lot of blood at all.
No, it's pretty mild, but
Probably 12A these days.
yeah, PG.
Hey, Frankie, what's going on? You know, Baskin's been looking all over for you.
I try to kidnap him when they're at this fireworks
event.
display and have a wee fight and stuff.
Which is a very well-populated event to try and kidnap them from. When
Yeah, just wait a couple hours, you know, pick him up at home. And that would be, yeah, so they try and do it and the fight ensues. And then Frank admits to China, you know, his situation. There's a mole in the FBI,
Yes.
quite clearly, and then that's revealed later. And then they just say to Frank, no, just go back to bed.
I've had just about enough of your belly aching.
it'll be fixed by the morning.
They fix it in the morning, and he goes along with it.
I'll have my deputies keep an eye out.
You know, he's annoyed, but he kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll get a good night's sleep. And he's into work the next day when his wife and daughter are kidnapped.
With
Along with
Dakota.
Yeah, he puts up a decent fight. Again, I think he steals the show fight-wise in this.
Yeah, he gets the best fights, I think. Because Richard Norton's a great fighter, but he doesn't really get any moments to shine in this.
No.
Like, a lot of the time, there's not really a good justification for him to be there.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I mean, again, problems from the first film where you kind of feel like it should have just like either have Richard Norton or Keith Cook, you know, one or the other, to bounce off China O'Brien. That would have been enough.
More than enough, I think, yeah.
But we are forgetting Chester, who is a big sequence early on in the film. You've forgotten who Chester is?
Forgotten who Chester is. He the big guy in the...
The big guy that lives in the mountains.
My head hurts.
Yeah, we see the aftermath of him brawling in a pub.
Chester,
Drunk as a skunk every time he comes down from his mountain.
Yeah, because does he kill someone in the pub? Because there's somebody lying on the floor.
That's one moment that I laughed, actually, because he's just like, China's like, oh, we better get help for him, and the bartender's like, no, he was passed out before the fight started.
It's fine.
Better call him an ambulance.
He don't need no ambulance. He's like that before the ruckus started.
And there's a big sequence of her having to take him in and arrest him and all that, and I thought...
It's very slapsticky, that sequence.
It's not very good, but it pays off later. And they put him in the jail, in the police station. And
Foreshadowing.
What's that about? You know, and then it comes at the end, Chester kind of helps out and gets him out of the door, but then gets mercilessly shot.
I thought it was a bit cruel to Chester.
He kicks down the door, so that's what he gets to do, because he's big enough to kick down the door. So that was the whole point. And that's, well, something.
If he hadn't kicked down the door, they'd have been fine. Because they wouldn't have been running into an alleyway with gunmen in it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dad's gonna let us go as soon as Frank gives him the money. Frank's probably halfway around the world by now.
There's a big kidnap thing that goes on, and they're wanting Frank to come out with the money, but Frank immediately just runs off.
You don't understand. They're as good as dead. Annie and Jill.
What about Dakota?
They're dead anyway.
Yeah, they're dead anyway, so I'll just take the money and go. And it's like...
in his Toyota Corolla, I think it is, something like that. Yeah. Odd car for a millionaire.
No, because he hasn't spent the money.
Oh yeah, it's true. He hasn't spent the money.
He's desperate to get away and spend it.
Yeah, he's like he's got rid of the wife and kids, so he's like, yeah, I can spend it now.
Now he's a smart son of a bitch. We're gonna have to be careful.
I want Frank to meet with Baskin.
There's a double bluff with a fake bomb.
Dynamite. It's a nice touch, Frank.
Put my thumb right on the button, Charlie. You shoot me and the money's gone.
But there's a point where he finds out it's fake. Does he try to press the button or does he accidentally drop it?
He drops it.
And then he's annoyed that it was a fake bomb. Like, why are you annoyed? You were standing next to the suitcase.
Why didn't you tell me the money wasn't really wired?
You may not have been so convincing.
Frank's a very unsympathetic character.
Yes, there's a problem with him for sure. Then they escape, and then I thought it was a moment where I thought, oh, this is going to maybe get quite good. I thought it was going to get like Assault on Precinct 13, where they're trapped in the police station, they're all around them, and how they're going to defend themselves, how they're going to get out.
Clearly had an opportunity there.
That was a great opportunity to do that, and then it just fizzles out.
Yeah, I thought that could have been really tense, because they're cutting the power.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be a great scene, big shootout.
Because at that point, actually, you're right, it feels like they're isolating them in the police station. Then it turns out they've cut the phone line and the power to the town.
Aye.
High stakes stuff.
Yeah, they're blocking the radio. Because there's that whole scene
the radio signals cut off in the cafe that one of the guys is sitting in.
Hey, Wanda, what's with this phone?
Beats me, sugar.
Oh, Lord. Listen to that. Even the radio don't work no more.
And I generally was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I'm liking this. There's an atmosphere here. There's a sort of a tenseness, you know.
Yeah, it's like First Blood.
What about the barricades?
They're going right up.
And then this is where, like, I think you're saying, like, the reshoots and just putting in more fights and stuff. Just random fights. The three of them kind of go separate ways, so you can just kind of cut.
Because obviously this is the right time to split up.
Yeah.
They're shooting scenes in LA, and it's obviously a different location. And there's no sense of location. You don't know where you are.
No, you don't know where people are. It's just kind of all over the place. And I felt quite disappointed by that, just because it had hinted that something better was coming.
The first film wasn't a warning of it.
Well, you kind of thought that maybe they were going to kind of... But then I keep thinking they're not going to learn any lessons from the first film because they were filming it at the same time, you know, so... I get what you're saying. Maybe some technical aspects were better in that, but...
It might just be a byproduct of a lot of the fights in this movie are out in the open, so it might not be so much they're better lit, it's just that there's natural sunlight.
Okay.
It could just be that. So they're a little bit clearer. They seem to be a little bit better cut together. Because one of the fights that I thought was really terrible in the first film was the fight in the gym. Felt like that was like where they'd been rehearsing the fights and then they just decided to film them.
And they got the mats conveniently on the floor.
Exactly that. And it felt like this film was like, oh, this is the fight they were rehearsing in the first film.
A bit of an anticlimactic ending again.
Yeah, endless henchmen, including a Indiana Jones lookalike.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that about? Freddy Krueger-ish kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
There's even a guy who looked a little bit like Marty McFly.
The claws on the hands thing, I thought they were a bit Freddy Krueger-ish, but they're also a little bit reminiscent of Enter the Dragon, because of Robert Klaus. I thought maybe he was just stealing from his own work.
Well, maybe it's a clever reference.
Well, it's a reference.
Yeah. I guess it's another problem with this one is our three heroes are doing a thing, but they're not really involved in the showdown at the end.
No.
They're just sort of like, that's between Frank and his wife? And the wife shoots Baskins, which is similar to the first film. Yeah. But at least we know who she is, kind of. Yeah. She's more of a character than the woman that assassinates the bad guy in the first film, for sure.
She has some dialogue.
We know who she is and all that, but it needed a little more, maybe.
I mean, it's a major problem when you've got three martial arts stars who are really good at what they do, but there's no major villain that knows martial arts.
Yeah, aye. So they never come up against him, and there's no sort of stakes with there, and he's just like gunned down again. And then Frank is killed, who is not particularly sad because of his character and stuff.
Frank Atkins made that supreme sacrifice. In death, he leaves us a legacy.
Well, yeah, we lost a few characters. We lose a cop, and we lose the radio operator. What's her name? Alice?
Lucille.
Barely see her though.
Barely see her. There's a couple of scenes. She gets a couple of lines, but Frank's the only one that gets a funeral. And then the funeral's right at the end, and then there's a line of dialogue that I just think is hysterical.
Russell was such a good guy, and Lucille.
And Lucille, and it's just like nothing. Like oh, she's dead too.
Did we see her die?
No, you don't see her die. I think you see her you see her body slumped over like a wee bit afterwards.
Come on, come on!
It's just funny. It just feels like Lucille really gets. Oh, they did not like Lucille. Because it's like does that line and then they walk off and the film ends.
I think you could be forgiven for not even noticing that Lucille dies in it. So.
True.
Previously, it was for the first one. It was 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5.
I think I was a 2 as well.
And you said 3.
Yeah.
So are we any different with China O'Brien 2?
No, not really. I'm still a 2.
I think I'm still. I think this is marginally worse than the first one, but it's still a 2.
Yeah, it's so marginal. I think I might have overrated the first one, but yeah, 2.
Yeah, I'll come down slightly for this one, 2.5.
Okay, so China O'Brien 2 is officially not as good as China O'Brien. Do you agree with us? Let us know in the comments. But that's all we've got for you today. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Phone beeped at the end.
I'll miss them so much.